seeing us like with the social network, it wasn't just about the founding of Facebook. It really was, to whatever extent they fictionalized Mark Zuckerberg, which obviously I'm sure they did to some extent, they fictionalized him to the degree, basically what the story they told was what drove Mark Zuckerberg to create Facebook is what drives somebody to post 15 times a day on their Facebook page. That's a very interesting idea to me. Mm-hmm. And what compels somebody to post 15 times a day on a Facebook page every single day, day after day? Because they're desperate to define themselves in other people's eyes. They're so desperate to be validated, mm-hmm. for people to see them in a certain way. And that's what their telling of the founding of Facebook was. Ultimately, it was about Mark Zuckerberg just feeling really belittled by how he'd been defined in his life by other people and him wanting to define himself. Yeah. And that pursuit destroyed him inside, even as he was succeeding on the outside. On the outside, yeah, he's succeeding. On the inside, he's falling apart. Mm-hmm. And I think when people are desperately, so desperate for people to see them in this very specific way, that they talk about everything that they're doing, they name drop the people they've been with, whatever the case may be, you know, it comes from an insecurity. And I even have to look at my own self. It's like, man, to what extent am I doing that? To what extent is that playing out in my life? And it kind of like, it hits you like a spiritual conviction. I love that. I mean, I just love that stuff. Yeah. And Fincher's films do that in a lot of ways. Fight Club was another great example of that.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. Yeah.
In fact, Fight Club was before 9/11. Okay? And that whole film was about, here is a generation of males that don't have a war to define them. Mm-hmm. And if they don't have something to define themselves, you think about how that movie ends. Literally, the last shot is society crumbling. Yeah. The whole message of that movie is, and of course you even got Meatloaf, it's not just we don't have a way to define ourselves as men, but we're actually being feminized. You look at Meatloaf's character, he was literally...
He was growing breasts.
He was growing breasts. Yeah. You know?
That's fascinating.
If men don't find a proper outlet to be men, our society's going to fall. That was the message of that movie. And it was exactly right. Mm-hmm. And while we've had a very, defining moment at 9/11, and we haven't found necessarily the best, purest ways like we did maybe in World War II, but even that can be oversimplified, the reasons there. To some extent, there has been a remasculization a little bit post 9/11. We've gone down, I'll say this at the very least, we've gone down a different route because of that moment than I think we were headed at the end of the 20th century as it relates to man and society. There's still a lot of things wrong. There's a huge problem of fatherless homes right now, so I don't want to diminish the fact that men are not on top of things right now. I'm not arguing that. But society went in a different way than I think where that film was saying it might go. Although there's still a lot of universality to it too. You can watch Fight Club, is still very relevant because it's relevant about masculinity. Mm-hmm. And if masculinity doesn't find its proper place, bad things are going to happen.